So in John chapter 6, Jesus finishes like multiplying bread, walking on water, right? But then he goes before this big crowd along with his 12 disciples, and he says something, and the thing he says literally just empties the crowd, right? He tells them in order to follow him, they're going to need to eat his flesh and drink his blood. And the language is so offensive that when he says it, his disciples even say, gee, like this is a hard saying, who can bear it? And then John tells us that after this was said, many of his disciples turned back and no longer walked with him. And I find it interesting because look what sent the crowd away. Look what caused them to walk away. It wasn't cruelty, right? It wasn't politics or rules. It was this demand for total surrender to a Savior who requires everything from us: comfort, reputation, and even life itself. And we've done something more recently with this teaching that we have to give up everything for him. See, we didn't remove the teaching, but we changed what it said, right? Instead of dying to self, right, we sacrifice nothing, but say we have faith, right? Instead of laying down our lives in love for a hostile world, we're now picking up stones and saying, no, it's holiness. We're standing for God's holiness. What we've actually done is we've traded the cross for a courtroom, and then we've appointed ourselves judge. And some of us will do that and say it's in his name. But here's the thing. He never called us to do that. He never called us to attack the world that he came to save. Instead, he called us to demonstrate a good creator who bled for people who did not deserve it, and then told us to offer that same undeserved love to everyone still walking away. Moral superiority often feels like obedience because the truth is we like it. It costs nothing to lift ourselves up. But to put ourselves down and self-sacrifice costs something. And that's why we avoid it. So when the crowd walked away, Jesus turned to the 12 and says, are you going to leave too? And so many of us think we would answer like Peter, like, where would we go? But our actions tell a different story. We have not stayed and submitted. We have quietly turned away and set up our own authority in his name. And so here's the question that we really need to dig in and answer is, will we live and sacrifice like Jesus for people who do not deserve it, for people who want to harm us, possibly even kill us? Or are we going to reshape Jesus into our own image so that we can sit in his seat and play God?